You are listening to The Michael Lodge Show. Wealth, business, and taxes. Oh, yeah, and some politics. Let's get started.
So I got up this morning and I was taking my dogs out. So I opened up the front door and I walked outside and it was freaking cold, I'm telling you. It was down in the 50s this morning. And in South Florida, that is a surprise because yesterday it was up in the 80s. And when I went to bed, it was in the 70s. And when I woke up, it was in the 50s. And so I opened up that door and the cold air just hit me. And I saw my neighbor and they had jackets on. I said, well, that looks strange. That looks strange because we normally don't wear jackets here in Florida, especially South Florida. And my dogs went to the thing and they ran back in the house and went to their beds. So you know that when it's cold and the dogs run back to their beds, you know that something's up. But it feels good. In fact, what I did is I went and I opened up every single one of my bedroom windows and living room windows, and that nice, cool air is coming in. No more air conditioning, and it feels so good, and you breathe in, and you have this crisp feeling in the air. It's really good stuff, I'm telling you. It's good stuff. So, what are we talking about today? Well, today's the first day of December. Can you believe it? Already December, and one more month, a few more days, basically, and we're into 2021. Ending 2020, but moving right into 2021. Now, small business. We have really been hit hard in 20. And I really like the comment I heard the other day. But someone said, listen, if you want to put somebody down, just tell them that they're 2020. Which means that 2020 was so freaking bad that now you can call people bad stuff and bad names. But instead of calling them Nazis and stuff like that, just say, gosh, you know that Mike Lodge is so 2020. It's a new phrase. But anyway, 2020 was really a bitchy year because it really affected all of us in small business. And some of you even more. Statistics as of September showed that 60% of small businesses failed because of the COVID virus. That's a big number. 60% of small businesses failed because of a virus that the government pushed on us, shut us down. And I think that the very first thing that we need to do in 2021 is band together as small business and say, listen, you're not going to shut us down again. You shut us down and I'll never come back. I will not be able to survive. So I think the first thing that we need to do in 2021 is, as small business owners, you and I, my friends out there in this podcast land, band together and say no more lockdowns ever again. Because we're not going to lock down. We're going to keep our businesses going. We'll do it safely. We do it with knowledge that we have based on the data given to us by government. In fact, that's going to be one of my podcasts for tomorrow, by the way. It's going to be about the bad data that government produces. And I'm going to tell you the reason why behind that. Because I have the experience level of knowing what bad data is all about and the systems that are out there in all these various states. It's really, really bad. So we in 2021 are going to band together and we're going to say no more to lockdowns. Lock us down and we're going to fight back. I don't care who you are. If you're Joe Biden, we're going to fight back. If you're Gavin Newsom, we're going to fight back. If you're DeSantis of Florida, we're going to fight back. We have got to say, you're not going to shut us down anymore. You do not have the legal right to shut us down. So that's number one. That's going to be our first priority. Now, 2020 is ending here. So what do you have to do? Well, it's time that you start looking at your financial results for 2020. You know that your revenue gone down. You have a good explanation as to why that happened. Expenses have probably gone down also because you've made a lot of adjustments to be able to stay alive. You have cut, you have shredded, you have done whatever you could with your expenses to be able to survive. So the number one priority as a small business owner for 2021 is to improve that revenue line. You've already probably cut as much as you can on the expense lines because of COVID-19. Now it's time to look at what can you do to improve that revenue line for 2021. What new marketing strategies, what new ideas do your employees have to help you out in increasing that line? What employees are value added to your business, that they know how to create business? They know how to operate things? But most importantly, do they know how to increase business? And if they don't know how, if they're unwilling to work at that, they're probably not right for your company, your small business. So look at those individuals who are really value added to your company. So you're looking at your revenue. What new revenue streams can you bring in to make your company revenue generating? Because you've lost a lot because of COVID-19. You literally had to shut down. And you're not going to do that anymore. So you're going to look at 2021 as, how do I improve on that revenue? Do I do more internet sales? Do I do more marketing? Do I do more phone calls? Do I bring in new products? Or new services? What do I do to improve that revenue line? Then the other issue is, if you are able to bring in a solid revenue and you're having a cash flow situation where it's a little bit better, what are you doing with that cash? And I'm going to tell you right now, based upon what we already know of what's going to happen tax-wise under a Biden administration, I would say be very conservative and create a emergency fund. Put some money to the side out of your revenues. Don't spend it. Be conservative. And put together an emergency fund that you can make it through the next 4 years, because we're going to have some ups and downs, and it means that we don't know what's going to happen under the Biden administration. He has already told us he's going to raise taxes. If we have a Republican Senate, if they can hold their majority, well, at least we have kind of a wall of raising those taxes. Because remember, the tax incentives that Trump gave us ends in 2025. So if we can retain the ownership of the Senate through the Republicans, at least we have a cushion there. We have people who are going to back up small business. But through the runoff in Georgia, there's 2 seat openings for Senate, and they're both running for that Senate. You've got Democrats and Republicans running for that seat, those 2 seats. If it goes Democrat, that means the Democrats have control of the Senate. That means that they will be able to push through those tax increases that Biden wants to do very quickly. So, knowing that taxes may go up and the cost of doing business is going to go up, build your emergency cash fund so that you can make it through this period, which I call the pause period, because so many businesses are unsure of what's going to happen under Biden, that things are going to be paused. And pausing, I mean, there's not going to be great capital expenditures on new equipment and new cars, new vehicles, new office equipment. That's going to be put on pause because they don't know if they can really afford that based upon the economic forecast under a Biden administration, and if he gets control of the Senate. So if things are going to be put on pause. And this happened during the Obama administration because we didn't know what he was going to do on the healthcare mandate, on full-time employees that were wages. And he came up with this idea that they were going to have to be paid overtime, even though they were salaried. And things were being tossed out there all the time, and we didn't know what was going to stick and how it was going to affect our businesses. The things that he was throwing out there, trying to make stick, was going to increase the cost of us doing business. And that's where we stand at the moment. We're on this pause mode, or we will be in this pause mode. We're going to survive. We're going to make it through, but we're just going to do it in a conservative way. Now, as I've said in so many of my podcasts before, if you talk to Wall Street, they're moving their cash capital. They're moving it out of the United States as we speak right now, because they are unsure as to what's going to happen under a Biden administration, because his economic plan is so flawed that it's going to affect every single business in the United States, big or small. That's just what's going to happen. So Wall Street is beginning to move their cash and their business operations offshore again. Now, that concerns us because that means that a lot of jobs will be leaving also. And if you looked at the unemployment numbers of this last period, we saw an issue. It's stalled out. And with this stall, it's really based upon the uncertainty of what's going to happen under a Biden administration. And I'm sorry, I have to talk politics here because politics affects our business. Okay? And when we don't know what the tax policies and the economic policies and the small business policies of a presidential administration is, because we haven't been told really basically anything, the only information we have gotten from this whole election from the Biden side is he definitely will raise our taxes. He's already said that. And so we are on pause. So operate your businesses very, very conservatively. But you need to improve that sales line. You need to improve that revenue generating line so that you can begin to build a cushion in case something happens. Because we don't know. They may go back and try to push the Obamacare mandate again. And that will cost small businesses a fortune. A lot of money. So we're uncertain as to right now as to what's going to happen economically, because Biden really hasn't told us except the one word, two words, raise taxes. So that is the issue that we have with small businesses. But we can still plan. So that means we're looking at our revenue generation, how we're going to improve that. Our costs, how can we improve our costs? How can we reduce them or make them stay even? And how we're going to build up a cash reserve, because we need that cash reserve to operate during a time where we're not quite sure politically what's going to happen with the economics of the United States. The other issue is, if you have any type of conflict in your office, resolve it very quickly. Quickly resolve that conflict, because conflict creates, well, it doesn't create. What it does is it reduces the productivity of the employees that are involved in the conflict and those around the conflict. It costs a lot of money. So your payroll doubles or triples because nothing's getting done. There's that conflict. There's that issue that needs to be resolved within the office. And if you don't resolve it quickly, it can cost your business a lot of money. Resolve the conflict very quickly. If you hear of a conflict, resolve it quickly. Because once a conflict gets out of hand within an office situation, you are going to be eating a lot of money because you've got wasted time. People are not quite sure who to talk to or what they can say. People are not quite sure what team that they're on. They see no leadership at the top resolving this, so everything stalls. Nothing gets done. Schedules become stagnant or even behind schedule. Clients are beginning to wonder, hey, what's happening here? Why is my stuff not getting done? Why are you not responding to me? And the reason why is because there is conflict within your office, within your business. Resolve that conflict very quickly. Throughout the year, if you see any type of conflict, bring in a mediator and resolve the conflict. Don't try to do it yourself because you're going to have biases. So you have to bring someone in that does not have the bias. He's independent. She's independent. And can ask the right questions of both people without offending anybody. Bring in a mediator and resolve that conflict before it costs you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Conflict is very costly. Then the other thing that I would suggest is that do what I do. I mean, I'm not perfect, but do what I do is I have a journal and I carry it with me everywhere I go. At the very beginning of the year, I get a new journal. And on the front 2 or 3 pages, I write what my business plan is going to be for 2021. And I look at that every single day. And I look at what I'm going to do with my business, where I want it to go, what are my goals and expectations. And I write it down. And I write it down by hand because even though I'm an accountant, I know that I can go to my computer and I can put in all these numbers. But when I write it down for my small business, that means I'm committing to it. Because I'm going to look at it every single day when I open up my journal. I'm going to adjust it daily, or monthly, or weekly. Things change throughout the year. You got to tweak it a little bit. You have to follow up with your communications with your employees so they know what road to travel with me on. They know what the philosophy is going to be for 2021 and what their responsibilities are going to be to meet the goals and expectations that I've put in my journal. I know where I want to go. And I want to make sure that my employees know where we want to go. So I journalize it. And then throughout the year, and daily and weekly, I'm writing in that journal. And I'm documenting my conversations. I'm documenting the goals that I have given specific individuals to accomplish. And I'm telling myself once it's accomplished, I check it off and I say, okay, we did that. We've done it. We've accomplished it. Now we're going to move on to the next one. So a business journal is so very important. And if you're not keeping one, where you're recording the conversations that you're having so that you remember what was said and what confirmations were given to you that things were going to be accomplished. And the conversations that you're having with your clients is so vital to you. I love the computer. And I use computers for my taxation. I use it for my mediation. I use it for my writing of financial statements. I do everything on a computer. But my personal goals and my business goals, I write it down in my journal because I want to be committed to what I say I'm going to do. And what I say I'm going to do at the beginning of the year, I change and I tweak throughout the remainder of the year as things change. So I'm always dedicated, I'm always focused to that business journal. You may think that, well, my gosh, just put it in the computer. I'm telling you, sometimes when you put it in the computer, it goes away. You forget about it. But when you're looking at it every single day, every single day in your written journal, you know that you've got something that you've got to accomplish. And every day you're looking at your goals and objectives, checking them off as you go along, creating new ones. And you're talking to your employees and to your clients so that they know exactly where you want to be. And they have got to be there with you. A business journal is a communication tool. And you use it as a communication tool. I love business. I tell you, every day I get up. This is my situation during the day. I get up. I look to see what's happening in business worldwide. Not just the United States. I want to know what's happening internationally also. I make my notes in my journal because there might be some trends there that may affect my side of the business. Then, after I've done my reading for the day and done my meditation, I then begin writing in my journal and I begin to document what I want accomplished for that day. I then sit down and I write a blog. In fact, today's blog is exactly what we're talking about today in this podcast. I then publish that blog. Then I sit down and I do this podcast. After I'm done with the podcast, then I begin to respond to all the emails that come in. And I begin working on whatever I need to get accomplished for that day. And I'm journalizing it as I'm going along. Creating notes, conversations that I've had, tweaks that I need to make in whatever that the issue may be. And I repeat this throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, usually when I'm in bed, I take the journal and I read everything that I have written for that day. And then I begin to plan for the next day based upon what I've read and what I need to do, what I need to change. And I do it every single day. Now, sometimes I miss a podcast because I get so busy with client issues. As a national mediator, I'm dealing with mediations all over the United States in various different communities. And every individual has a special, unique type of conflict that I need to work on resolving. So I'm looking at this every single day, and I'm trying to reschedule and schedule and talk to people, compromise, negotiate. It's all part of my job. So I'm looking at the country as a whole as a mediation center. And I begin my mediation process through a virtual meeting and explaining what mediation is all about, setting up the rules of the mediation and what I'm needing from the people. And then throughout the day, I'm getting schedules for people to talk with me about business and what they need to do and what they need to plan. And so I deal with that. I run what is called a 60-minute business advice session that people can set up appointments with me on. And so my day is very busy. But the journal that I keep is so very important because that helps me to plan for the next day or for the next week or month. I see my goals and expectations every single day when I open up my journal because it's the first 2 or 3 pages there. And then I begin reading my notes of everything that has happened with my clients, staff, potential clients. So understand why I feel it's so very important as a business person, as a business professional, to keep a journal of everything that you do and everything that you plan. I'm telling you, I love business. I've always been involved in business. I have run so many different businesses and owned businesses. I think I have done almost everything in business. And I can even say I've done janitorial work because I have done janitorial work in my youth days of going to school and college. That's how I put my way through college, is by cleaning. And even to this day, I'm still cleaning. It never ends. So, 2021 needs to be planned for. You only have a few more days to do this. So sit down with your tax people if you need to talk about how you're going to handle certain situations tax-wise. Have you been in compliance with all of your payroll issues? Have you met your payroll taxes? And do you have any losses for 2020 or prior years that, depending on which state you're in, can you roll them over and how you can use them for planning for 2021? Sit down with your tax practitioner right now and see whether or not if you need to pay any estimated taxes. Now, a lot of you are probably operating at losses because of COVID-19, but some of you may be very lucky and have a profit for 2020. Talk to your tax practitioner. And on your personal taxes, too, call your tax practitioner. He's not doing anything, basically, right now. Excuse me. So sit down and talk with him or her. Plan your 2020 tax execution. Because taxes are always in execution, right? Well, you can plan for it. You can be very wise. You can listen to your tax advisors very carefully. If you don't feel that your tax advisor is giving you the right information, get a second opinion. Spend some time with another tax accountant and get a second opinion. I wrote a blog the other day about doing your due diligence on your tax practitioner. If you have doubts about your tax practitioner, is he protecting your tax data? Is he providing you with services that make sense? Ask those questions of yourself. If you're not happy with your tax practitioner, now is the time to find a new one. You've got the whole month of December to find a new one. That's part of our business planning. Are we satisfied with the tax advice and experience coming from your current tax practitioner? Is your tax data protected? Are you protected? So listen, there's a whole bunch of things that you need to get done. You're a small business and you do it mostly yourself. So you're going to have to sit down, list it out in your journal, and accomplish those goals that you need to accomplish before year end. And a lot of it has to do with the taxation of your business and on your personal side, if you're a sole practitioner. It's a wonderful experience, isn't it? I love the fact that business changes daily. Business does have some consistency to it, and there are compliance issues that you need to respond to. Because if you don't respond to tax compliance issues or business filing issues, reporting issues into the Secretary of State, it can become very costly. Stay informed. remain in compliance. It's so easy, but sometimes we forget about it because we get involved in so many other different things. I tell you, in California, every year you have to do what is called a Statement of Information that you file with the Secretary of State. It's very easy to do. You can do it online. It's $25. However, if you miss doing it, that $25 becomes $250. And then the penalties and interest start adding on to it. Remain in compliance. It's less costly. It's less costly if you remain in compliance. If you can't do it yourself, find someone that will do it for you. If your accountant offers those compliance issues that to help you remain in compliance, do it. Do it. So aren't you kind of excited that 2021 is about here? Can you imagine that today is, today is December 1st. A few more days left in December and it's going to be 2021. But if you look back over the year and you look at what we've all been through, it was a freaking nightmare. But even nightmares you can turn into really good situations, because we've learned a lot from this nightmare. We have learned a lot, especially about the issue of taking care of a crisis and getting through a crisis. If you can make it through this COVID lockdown situation, you can make it through 2021. I guarantee it. But it takes some planning, and the planning begins now. Listen, if you have any questions, send me a text at 818-252-5682. Again, that is 818-252-5682. Go to my website at www.lodge-co.com and learn what I do in my day job. It's all there. My books are there. My blog is there. Everything is there. Again, that's www.lodge-co.com. I want every single one of you to start planning today. Go out and buy your journals, begin writing, begin planning, and get ready for 2021, because we are going to be a success. Even if government tries to shut us down, we're still going to be a success. This is Mike Lodge. I'll talk with you soon. God bless. Have a great day. This podcast is produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content. God bless. Bye-bye.